They shared tea, old, chipped cups, cheap biscuits, simple warmth Ethan hadn't tasted in years. He lifted the cup slowly, almost reverently, as if afraid it might crumble in his hands. The steam curled upward in thin, gentle ribbons, fogging the air between him and Mira. The tea was weak, barely more than colored water, yet it carried a fragrance he couldn't name, something soft, something comforting, something he hadn't realized he'd been starving for. He took a sip. It wasn't good by any gourmet standard, not rich, not delicate, not expensive, but it was warm, honest, made by someone who cared enough to offer a stranger the little they had. His throat tightened unexpectedly. Mira blew on her own cup, holding it with both hands the way one holds something sacred. Her palms were rough, her fingers cracked from dish soap and cold weather, but the way she cradled the cup made her look gentle, almost peaceful. Across from them, Lila dunked a biscuit into her tea, watching it soak until it nearly collapsed, then stuffed it into her mouth with triumph. "Mama makes the best tea," she declared proudly through crumbs. "It fixes sad hearts." Ethan's hand froze around his cup. He wasn't sure if the tea fixed hearts, or if the people drinking it did. He looked around again, letting the details settle into him like soft dust. A patched curtain swayed in the draft. Two mismatched chairs stood unevenly beside a small table scarred with burn marks and pencil scratches. A tiny plant sat on the windowsill, bravely trying to grow despite its crooked pot. Everything was imperfect, everything was real. He spent his life in perfection: marble floors, towering glass walls, hotels where the bedsheets cost more than a month's salary for most people, yet none of those places felt alive. The small apartment felt like it breathed. Mira dipped her biscuit, her movements slow and tired, but graceful in a way exhaustion couldn't dim. "You know," she murmured, "most people rush through life and forget simple moments like this. Tea. Company. Breathing." Ethan raised his eyes to hers. She didn't lecture him, she wasn't criticizing, she was simply speaking truth, soft, unpolished truth. He swallowed the lump forming in his throat. "I don't remember the last time I sat like this," he admitted. Lila gasped dramatically. "You're kidding." He shook his head. "No," he said quietly. "I'm not." Lila blinked at him, shocked. "How do you live without tea? Without sitting? Without this?" He chuckled softly. "I don't know. I guess I forgot what normal felt like." Lila leaned close to him, eyes wide with childlike wisdom. "Mama says forgetting is dangerous. If you forget how to be human, you start feeling empty." Mira shot her a look. "Lila, no, Mama," the girl insisted gently. "He needs to hear it." Ethan's heart squeezed. She reminded him so much of something he didn't even know he missed: innocence. A world where everything was simple. A world where pain and kindness lived side by side. The rain outside softened into a gentle whisper. The smell of damp pavement drifted in. Mira broke a biscuit in half and offered part of it to him. It was such a small gesture. A half-stale biscuit, nothing special. Yet it hit him harder than any charity check, any expensive gift, any red carpet gala. "Thank you," he whispered. "You're welcome," Mira replied softly. Food shared is never wasted. He stared at the crumbs on his fingers. The chip cup. The tiny kitchen with its humming refrigerator. "What happened to your husband?" he asked quietly. Amira paused. A deep, long pause. "Work accident," she finally said. "Factory machine malfunction. He was fixing it. It didn't stop in time." Ethan bowed his head. He didn't know what to say. Sorry felt too small, too useless. Lila crawled across the floor and settled herself beside him, leaning her small weight against his leg as if taking comfort from his presence, or offering it. He wasn't sure which. "Mama cried for days," she said solemnly, "but she still made me breakfast every morning. And she still walked me to school. And she still said, 'God is watching. We keep going.'" Mira looked away, blinking rapidly. Ethan felt a sting in his own eyes. He hadn't cried in years, not even when his father died. He had been too busy running a company, ensuring investors didn't panic, making statements to the press. He had learned how to grieve efficiently, quietly, professionally. He had forgotten how to feel. "Mira," he said softly, "you're strong." She shook her head. "No. I'm just alive. Life doesn't give me time to fall apart." He looked at Lila, who was now drawing on his palm with her finger. "A little heart, a star, something childish and pure. Mama says people are like cups," she said matter-of-factly. "If they crack, you fill them with warmth so they don't break." Ethan swallowed hard. "That's beautiful," he whispered. Lila nodded. "I'm good at making people warm." He laughed softly, tousling her hair. "You are," he agreed. Mira watched them, her eyes softening in a way Ethan didn't expect. "You look tired," she said gently. "I am," he admitted, "tired in a way sleep doesn't fix." "Then stay a little longer," she said simply. "It might help." It wasn't flirtation, it was an obligation, it was pure hospitality, the kind that came from hearts, not wallets. He stayed, they talked about nothing, about everything. Mira told him how she worked 2 jobs, bakery in the morning, cleaning in the evening. Lila told him how she wanted to be a doctor so she could fix hearts and lungs and sadness bones. Ethan told them little pieces of his life, not the billionaire story, not the magazine version, but real pieces, like how he missed reading books, how he missed walking without cameras watching, how he missed quiet. Mira nodded as if she'd known all along. You needed a place to breathe, she said. The words sank into him deeper than he expected. At one point, Lila climbed onto his lap again, yawning loudly. I like your heartbeat, she mumbled sleepily. It sounds like Daddy's used to. The teacup nearly slipped from his hand. Mira froze. I'm so sorry, she whispered, but Ethan shook his head. It's okay. Lila's head rested against his chest, her tiny hand curled into the fabric of his shirt, her breathing slowed. She fell asleep. He held perfectly still, afraid to disturb the fragile weight of her trust. Mira watched with a soft, unreadable expression. You have a good heart, Ethan, she said quietly. He looked up at her, stunned. I don't know if that's true. It is, she insisted. You just forgot where you left it. Outside, the storm had calmed. A faint glow from streetlights filtered through the window. Ethan gently brushed Lila's hair from her forehead. For someone who has so little, he murmured, she gives so much. Mira smiled, her eyes glistening. That's who she is. She believes the world is still good. He nodded, voice thick. She reminded me tonight. He wasn't used to being vulnerable. He wasn't used to sharing space with people who didn't want anything from him. This wasn't business, this wasn't networking, this wasn't image or reputation or power, this was human. A warmth he had forgotten existed. As he sat in that tiny apartment, holding a sleeping child, sipping weak tea, listening to the soft breaths of 2 souls who had every reason to harden but chose kindness instead, Ethan realized something profound. For the first time in years, he felt full, not of success, not of wealth, not of power, but of something deeper, connection, warmth, humanity. Maybe life had made his card decline, just so he would finally stop, finally look around, finally feel again. And in this tiny home, with chipped cups and cheap biscuits, Ethan's heart began to come back to life.